Hello, I'm Lexi. I want to share with you my everyday sourdough recipe. I want you to see how easy it is and that you don't have to be intimidated by sourdough like I used to be. I have no fancy equipment, no bannetone, no fancy cast iron pot. I don't even have a dough scraper. And just look at these beautiful braids. Also, it does not need to take all day to make. This took only a morning. So please stay with me and let's break this up into 3 easy doable steps. Okay, so sourdough always starts with the sourdough starter. I'm wondering if your sourdough starter has a name. And if it does, please leave me a comment. I always love to hear what everybody has called their sourdough. Here is mine, Bridget Bardot. So I used half a cup of sourdough starter. I don't measure it, I just make sure that there are 2 tablespoons left behind, and that is what I will continue to work with and feed. Okay, so very important here is to use a good flour. I've used Eureka Mills stone ground whole wheat flour. The Eureka flour is not bleached, there's no additives or preservatives, and therefore the flour retains all the healthy wheat germ, the natural oils, the vitamins, the enzymes, making it rich in fiber, wholesome and nutritious. I highly recommend Eureka. Gideon is also another good stone ground flour. But please don't skimp on this. It does cost a little bit more, but it is worth it. Now, if you are going to spend the whole morning making a loaf of bread, you may as well make 2. So this is what I did. The second loaf, I added some honey and some oats. And in fact, I made those, you'll see a little bit later, into 2 smaller loaves. And that I will cut up and I will put in the freezer and we can pull out to make toast. So this is bread sorted for the week. An hour later, and we are on to step number 2. This is now where we are going to do our stretch and fold. So just wet your hand. Don't carry any of that water into the dough mixture. It's just so that your fingers don't stick. And we're going to just pull the dough up, give it a little stretch and fold it. And you can see this is our first stretch and fold, and the dough is not very pliable at all. So just do anywhere between 4 to 8. And then we are going to cover it up again and we are going to leave it to rest for 15 minutes. And we are on to our last set of stretch and folds. So the stretch and folds are in place of kneading the dough. And because we have a dough with quite a high hydration that is hard to knead, the stretch and fold method is so much better. What this is doing is developing the gluten in the bread and making it a strong dough. After this, we are going to cover it up and it's going to be left for its long proof. It only took 2 hours in my kitchen, but it is the middle of summer. Okay, so we're there already. Now we are going to shape the dough. Look how beautiful that dough is. It's all light and soft and puffy. So this was the first mixture, and out of this one I decided to make a nice round loaf with bigger slices. And the second loaf is going to be smaller slices for toast. So I am just shaping the loaf there, just pulling the dough towards the center and giving it a little pinch. And now this method of tucking under the dough and pulling it towards yourself is helping to shape the dough and also add strength to the dough, the structure of the dough. So we're not going to get technical and complicated about it. Just have a look and see what I'm doing there. And just do that until you can see that the dough has formed nicely into the shape that you need it to be, that everything is tucked under neatly, and you're going to be good to go. Now you'll see how I shape these to make the small rectangular loaves. If you're enjoying this recipe and finding it easy to follow, then please have a look at my playlist for breads. There are some very beautiful Italian breads, focaccia and ciabatta, that I have uploaded recently, and they are simple, easy breads to make. So if you can follow this recipe, you can follow those and make even more beautiful breads. So now we are going to score the bread. So scoring the bread is cutting a slash in the surface of the bread. You can use a sharp knife, or here I'm using a razor blade. Now, why do we do this? Okay, the bread rapidly expands when it is placed in the oven. So we are basically telling the loaf of bread where we want it to expand. And you can get quite creative with this. You can make different shapes and different designs on the bread and really make it look beautiful. So it can be something more than just having a loaf that expands in the right place, but it can be something very creative that looks very, very beautiful to put on your table. So this one, I had put flour on it, and then I decided afterwards that I was going to add a little bit of sesame seeds. So I'm just putting a little bit of water on with a brush so that the seeds can stick. And all that is left is to bake. I would love to hear from you if you try this recipe, how you found the recipe, and how your breads came out.